Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Art of MMA. I'm your host, Mike Ginn. That's the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. Back another week to talk all the action in MMA. Of course, this show is brought to you on the Fighters First Network. FightersFirst.shop. Get all your latest and greatest merch, Art of MMA, all the great combat sports stuff we do, including the official collections. We got the British Bulldogs. We just signed Shedrick, Chocolate Thunder Goodrich. We're going to come out with his collection soon. Talking to a few other fighters, growing and growing. But no collection is more important than the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. So go support your boy. Stand up. He'll be fighting soon as well. So we'll be talking about that when it gets sooner. I swear this time it's real. It's real this time. But that said, this week we're going to be talking about all the Joe Rogan controversy. We're going to talk about the new signing in the UFC. There's a new Japanese sensation coming over. We'll talk about TUF 30. The ladies are running the show. And then we'll break down Izzy and Whittaker too. The long-awaited rematch finally happening this weekend. Make our picks. Maybe Brandon can try to catch up to the lead dog, but he's only getting like one pick right a week. I don't know. He left all his luck back in 2021. This is the year of Mike. I'm taking over. We'll ignore the fact that I started hot last year too. We'll just totally ignore
it. Exactly.
Right now, Brandon's only making correct picks on Kicking It with Tim. He's not doing anything good on this show. I think you jinxed Trezano at this point. I think you jinxed him. Don't even go to the gym. Mike's going to watch this show. He's going to be like, Brandon, you jinxed me. Anyway, but speaking of that card, that was a hell of a fight, though. But Dawodu probably looked the best he's looked in a long time. He was finally healthy. What did you think of that fight?
Yeah, man, it was a good fight. Dawodu, definitely did his thing. I just kind of just thought like,
it was close every round.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of really just thought that Mike kind of just stood around. Like, I mean, he didn't do as much as he could have. Like, he wasn't as active as we talked about with Figgy and Moreno.
I think it's because he cut off the mullet.
I mean, it could be that. I mean, I know
without his hair.
I know some people do want it back from him.
Samson without his hair, he lost his power. He cut off the mullet and he lost. Now he fought tough. That was a good fight. He had his moments, but Dawodu just kept coming forward. He was the faster by far and just more accurate with a lot of the kicks and the punches. So that was a really good, fun fight. I told you about Shavkat Rakhmonov. Man, that dude, actually at this point, I want to see him and Chimaev just run it. Like, I think Chimaev might be a step above him in, like, just overall skill. But Rakhmonov just, man, the way he finishes everybody, it's just crazy. Harris put up a fight, but Rakhmonov, between those spinning kicks and everything, that dude's got a bright future. We said last week, Soriano was probably the better striker. Maximov probably the better wrestler. But I also told you, even though both of us picked Soriano, and I blame you for me getting my first L of the season, if Maximov, what did I say? I said if Maximov found a way to win, you got to look out for him because he's that kind of fighter. He's not overly impressive. He's not going to do a lot of flashy things, but he just keeps winning. And that sometimes is more important than any flashy knockout if you just keep winning. So, I'll look out for Maximov next time he steps in. And then both of us had Strickland. I think it was a little boring, but Strickland has said himself after the fight. He was nervous because he got a new contract coming up, title shot possibly. What did you think of the main event?
Hey, man, it was still elite, level fighting. Like I said, some people might call it boring, but it was still elite. Saying Sean Strickland had a game plan. He stuck to it, and he got the W. That's all that matters. Like I said, man, he was thinking about that contract. Like I said, this is prize fighting. He was thinking about he got this W. Let me get my win bonus in.
Now, I'll tell you another fight, and you called this too, Brian Battle. We found out who's the real deal, him or Gore. And Battle proved there's a reason why he was the ultimate fighter. Brian Battle's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And your girl, Alexis Davis, like we keep wanting to write her off, and then she comes back with another big win. So still hanging around. Good card. It was a fun card. That Philip Rowe knockout over Jason Witt was awesome. There was a lot of fun stuff on that card. I thought the main event was kind of boring, but Strickland did what he had to do. It really wasn't flashy. Jack could never get in range because of the way Strickland jabs. I found it funny, though. You know how we always joke about how does somebody just knock Strickland right out because his head's always in one spot?
Mm-hmm.
Evidently now he has the record for the least hit of any middleweight in history. Like he only gets hit 27% of the time or something like that. 73% miss rate. And it just astounds me because his head is always right there. But I guess because he's throwing punches, when you throw punches and kicks, he just keeps you off them different ways. But more props to him. Sean Strickland with another win, looking towards the future. But that's what happened last week. You ready to hop into the show and talk about some good stuff?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Or not so good stuff. First subject of the day, man. I debated even bringing this up, but it's MMA, it's news. Joe Rogan is as much UFC as Dana White is. He's been in a part of the foundation since the early days. Every major pay-per-view, every time. Joe Rogan is embraced by the MMA community. He practices jiu-jitsu and everything else away from the scenes. Of course, we know the podcast. Now, over the years, there's been many controversies of Joe Rogan. This whole video that resurfaced just recently about him calling Black Neighborhood Planet of the Apes is not new. I saw that thing when it first came out, and it was a big deal. He didn't get canceled then. In fact, I think that was even before the giant Spotify deal or right after it. He's been constantly putting out misinformation, or if you want to be generous, opinion-based information on COVID this entire time. So much so that a few weeks ago, major artists have started pulling their stuff off of Spotify because they don't want to be associated with Joe Rogan. Legendary artists like Neil Young, more modern artists, even Taylor Swift's talking about taking all her stuff off because of the misinformation Joe Rogan continues to spread. And obviously, he's Spotify's breadwinner. They pay him a lot of money to do that podcast and put it on Spotify. Then somebody put together a compilation that even elicited a response from Joe Rogan where he was dropping the N-word multiple times over the years. Now, Brandon, I don't really tell much about myself, but I grew up in the hood. I grew up as the only white kid in my neighborhood. There was majority black, a little bit of Spanish, only white kid. I knew from day one, you don't say that word. There is no such called pass for being a white dude. There is no, I was explaining how somebody else said the word. We had one other kid who used to live in our neighborhood, and God rest his soul, he's not with us anymore. But he said it one time while we were playing throwback football, and literally everybody from every team or every person literally turned and jumped him to the point where he had to go running in the house, scared for his life. And he thought he had the pass, that so-called pass, because you got some black friends. The Rock, who supported Joe Rogan against the COVID stuff, basically said, I accept your explanation. You'll look to science more. You'll do all the stuff that he said after the COVID thing came out. Even turned his back on him after this N-word controversy. And Joe Rogan himself came out and said, look, I thought for a long time it was okay if you used it certain ways. And I now know it's not. And it's a learning moment, right? Once again, the MMA community, once again, the right side, like they're trying to make this a political thing when I never thought the N-word was a political thing. You're not leftist or rightist. If you're saying the N-word, you're being racist. Like you can paint it however you want. It's not a hit job. You don't see Joe Biden out on stage saying Joe Rogan needs to be canceled. They're trying to make it political. It's not political. It's wrong. And no matter what he does, he cannot seem to get canceled. You have any thoughts on this whole thing?
Man, to be honest,
take the gloves off. Throw it down.
I mean, to be honest with you, man, I don't even think about it, man. It's just another thing out here, man. People trying to turn certain things into their own agenda. It's like I said, people calling Joe Rogan out on his BS. Then people trying to say, no, it's about this, it's about that. I mean, he came out, he had his apology. He was trying to say like, I was trying to use it in context. I was trying to use it when he referenced like two different comedians, like Richard Pryor and everything like that. So
Red Fox and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Red Fox, and that's when he thought it was okay. But then he just said, like, realized when he was looking at the video, oh man, this is how bad it was. It's either man, nobody checked him back then when he was doing it, or maybe somebody did and he just ignored it because maybe again, nobody's really listening to a show like that. Like, so I mean, hey, if they want to keep a show going on, hey, I don't use Spotify. I'm sorry. I'm not a cool kid like that. So it doesn't really affect me. And I just keep it moving on.
I mean, he's the most watched podcast of ever, like all time. And there are definitely people that are getting influenced by him, right or wrong. I'm not saying everything Joe Rogan says is wrong. He says a lot of insightful things. He does his research on a lot of topics. What I'm saying is that, one, I don't think I'm being honest, no matter how bad he is, I don't think he's ever going to get canceled. Yeah. I think he has so much of a certain population in this country that's going to back him no matter if he could go out and shoot the Pope and some right-wing Christian will be like, I'm sure the Pope did something to deserve it. Mm-hmm. Like it's somebody's going to defend him. And I pray to God something like that never happens. I'm just throwing it out there that you could do the most extreme thing. And this guy is just untouchable. He's Teflon. If I came out and said the N-word on air, I promise you you wouldn't be on this show anymore. Nobody would watch this show anymore. But I don't have the status he has. If I went out and started talking about COVID all the time, this show would not get ever monetized. YouTube would yank it probably off the episode list. But I'm not Joe Rogan. And of course, he has the backing of big players like Dana White and everybody else that, has certain political affiliations. So they try to make this a political thing. And I'm so sick of that. Like this whole cancel culture, yeah, it's gone way too far. But there's still right and wrong. There's still a difference between right and wrong. We learned this as kids, Brandon. Like if you did wrong, your mom would probably beat your ass. My mom would beat my ass or ground me or put me, somewhere, like take somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like there's right and there's wrong. And we learn that as children. But now all of a sudden we're adults and it's all political. It's either left or right. That's BS. It's not left or right. It's right or wrong. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle it is. If you do something wrong, there should be consequences. That's not getting canceled. That's actions and consequences. We learn that as children. And now all of a sudden as adults, it only matters if you're a certain political party. And it doesn't matter which political party because they're going to back you whether you're right or wrong, depending which party you are. So you're going to have a certain population behind you no matter what. And that's not right anymore. We need to get back to learning the difference between right and wrong. If you're going to cancel somebody, do it because it's actions and consequences, not because you're trying to cancel them and be overly sensitive. But if they do something wrong, you're damn sure right they do deserve to get canceled. That's my 2 cents. Brandon, any last thoughts? Are you good?
Yeah, man. Just on to MMA, baby.
See, and y'all thought the rant was dead. I still had one in me. Anyway, that said, like I said, last question. Do you think he could ever get canceled?
Unless he really did something like heinous, like as in some war machine type of stuff, with somebody. It could always happen, yeah. But Joe Rogan to me, for the most part, is like to me a stand-up guy. So, like I said, it's just something that he thought. Like he is a comedian, everything like that. So I'm saying sometimes people try to get off the way, try to use things to do like comedy or whatever like that. Like how he was doing when he was using All in Context. Again, he was referring to other comedians and stuff like that. So like I said, I don't think he's gonna get canceled for this. But like I said, I think he can get canceled. Yes, but not for this though. He has to do something really, really crazy.
Well, that's enough on this subject. Spotify already said they're standing by him. So for this issue, he's pretty much Teflon. In other news, it's been a while since the UFC's done this. They brought in talent before that they've signed to big deals. But normally most talent, no matter if they're international, even Conor McGregor, you come in, you got to kind of earn your way, get a win or two, see what happens. Tatsuro Taira is a undefeated 10-0 flyweight in Japan. He's most recently the shooter flyweight champion. Out of his 10 opponents, he's finished 8 of them. He's only 22 years old, and he has just signed a multi-fight deal with the UFC. So that means he's going to be around more than just a couple fights. Have you ever heard of this kid? And if so, what are your thoughts on him?
Like I say, he is a top prospect, over in Japan. I'm saying, like, I think it's cool. Like, say, like, hey, 10 fights, hey, it's better that, they didn't have him, like, say, you have to do, like, the Dana White Contender Series type of deal, or you got to go on the Ultimate Fighter or anything like that. Hey, they signed him up, just like kind of how they did with Cain Velasquez. When he came to the UFC, I think he was 6-0, and then boom, then he sprung up. Like I said, to me, though, they need lifelines, they need bloodlines in the flyweight division, especially at 125. So I think this is a good signing for him. And like I said, if he can bring his style over, to the UFC, and get those American eyeballs on him, like I said, I think he definitely be a rising star.
I think he could be a rising star, especially in the lighter divisions. A lot of those guys are very fast, very fluid. He's both a submission and knockout guy. He's got like 5 submissions, I think, and 3 knockouts. But now he's one of 4 Japanese fighters in the UFC. So I think this is more of a Dana and Endeavor pushing to get back into the Asian markets, back into Japan, and make more fans from there obviously watch the product, put money in their pockets, obviously. Obviously, when you have an Asian fighter, more Asians are likely to watch. So I think this is much of a money grab as far as that, but also the kid has earned his spot. Now, do I think it's unfair to American fighters who come in with great resumes and have to earn their way, whereas a kid who's international all of a sudden gets a pass because he's so famous over where he's from? I think that's a little unfair. I wouldn't have been opposed to see this kid in a Dana White Contender Series or even in a prove it type deal. All right, come over, win a couple fights, and you'll get a long-term deal. Like, I think that's where most of MMA, especially the UFC, has gone lately. If you get a long-term deal, a lot of time, multi-fight deal, a lot of times it's with Bellator or PFL. UFC's been making a lot of people earn it. So I'm a little shocked that he didn't actually have to earn his way. But I do think the kid is exciting. I've seen some clips of him on YouTube. I saw him win the Shooto Flyweight Championship. He's very fast. He's very exciting. And like I said, he's good on the ground and standing. So he'll be fun to watch. Like you said, that 125-pound division is kind of wide open. So it'll be definitely fun to watch him. You got fighters, especially on the upper end, like Alex Pantoja and Alex Perez, and who Alex Perez is fighting this weekend. So there's a lot of guys. Of course, you got Figueiredo, Moreno at the top of that food chain that are looking for fights. So we'll see more depth to that division. We just had the interview with Shorty Torres, who was once a part of that division and famously got cut because he predicted that division would go the way of the dinosaurs and go away. And it almost did. It really did. If it wasn't for the Moreno-Figueiredo trilogy, we might not actually have this division really any longer. Because once DJ got traded for Ben Askren, there weren't, and Cejudo went into bantamweight, there weren't many plans for this division. They really were going to cut the division. So it's nice to see it getting a little bit more life. Like Shorty Torres said, these fighters have been putting on shows for a long time. We as fans are just finally starting to notice. So it's good for all of them. It's good to put money in everybody's pockets. The more eyes on the prize, right? Mm-hmm. What do you guys?
Exactly, man. Prize fighters.
There you go. Sell the shirt, Brandon. All right. That said, excited to see Tatsuro Taira now in the UFC. They haven't announced his first fight, but they're talking about April opponent to be determined. Now, Brandon, the next subject is something I know is near and dear to your heart. We had a lot of back and forth before this fight ever took place, with the fight ever took place. Of course, then Julianna Pena, Amanda Nunes, Pena with the upset to shock the world. Not shock Brandon, shock the rest of us, even though Brandon picked Nunes to win. Anyway, so they were looking for a couple coaches for the new TUF season. That's a pretty good grudge match to me. I know some other names have been thrown out there. They were trying to get Masvidal versus Covington and some other things, but they're lined up to fight a little bit sooner than that. This is going to be kicking off, I believe, what did they say? May 3rd. May 3rd, the 12-episode season kicks off on ESPN+. We're going to have Nunes coach at one team, and with her new coaches that she's bringing in for her own school. She talked about that. This will be the first time we see some of the coaches she's looking to bring to her new team. No bad blood with AT&T. It's just she had always had plans to kind of launch her own gym. She said to herself, like I think yesterday or even today, that she could go walk at AT&T and train today.
Yeah.
You know, she's still very good terms with Dan Lambert and everybody. She just had plans to really do her own thing. And the loss had nothing to do with it. It was already in motion, evidently, and we just didn't know it, obviously, because nobody has to tell us anything. She has her own rights, obviously. Pena, for her part, she's riding high off her big win. She's the champ now. Now the pressure's on her, right? There's no pressure on Nunes. Nunes come out there and just fight. Champ versus champ, because Nunes is still a 145-pound champ until they get rid of that division. Champ versus champ. We'll also be featuring the men's heavyweights, most notably Kamaru Usman's brother Muhammad, who lost in the PFL. but is in this. So he'll have his second life, get a chance in the UFC. They got the women's flyweights. I don't really recognize a lot of the names, but they do have veterans like Chantel Coates, Claire Guthrie, Juliana Miller. Helen Peralta was a bare knuckle fighter. Any of the names that they've listed so far kind of stick out to you?
I believe. I mean, well, besides Usman's brother, like I said, I definitely did notice that. I was like, oh, all right, that's interesting, because I was kind of wondering if he was going to be in the PFL again this upcoming season, but I guess not, since he's kind of dealing with the Ultimate Fighter. And then I think on the women's side, I want to say her first name's Melissa. It's Melissa, right?
Melissa Parker.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, man, like she was going by a different name, because I think I knew her as Melissa. I think it's Odessa. But yeah, I got my eyes on him. I think she's out of the Philadelphia area as well.
Like I said, I really don't know any of the names. I know I've heard of Helen Peralta because I do watch some bare knuckles sometimes. I don't remember actually watching her fight. She is 4-2 as an MMA fighter. Over on the men's side for the heavyweights, there's a couple up and coming undefeated fighters. Zach Paluga, Jordan Heiderman. He's 30, but he's 5-0. Niall Bartland, 6-0 at 29 years old. And then they got some guys with some experience. Usman's 7-2 now. He is 32 years old. He's the older brother, right?
He's
a year older, right?
No, I thought it was he was his younger big brother.
Younger big brother, okay. So some good names. Only one I've really seen fight. I've seen Bobby Maximus fight for a couple times. He's an older fighter. He's like 43, kind of hanging around. I've seen Eduardo Perez fight once. And I've seen Chandler Cole fight a couple times on regional stuff. So some big guys always throwing hands. Some explosive stuff can always happen. And then, of course, at the end of the season, they're hoping to have Pena versus Nunes too. Too early to predict, but if they ran it back, what do you think will happen? Any different than the first one?
Man, you're right. It is early. I could see maybe being a longer fight this time. Maybe could go all 5 rounds. You know.
So should I even edit out the I? Come on, Brandon. Put your foot in the ground. Make a decision. Who you got in the rematch? Pena or Nunes? Man, this is why we don't do an audio version anymore.
Because I'm just thinking, like, it's just so much going on. Like right now, I probably will lean towards Pena. Why not? I'll lean towards Pena. She's the champ.
I love Julianna. I love her personality. I think Nunes is taking the title back, and that's going to lead to a trilogy and even more money for the ladies. But that said, that is coming up starting May 3rd, 12 episodes. Be fun to watch. It's been a while since we've had a nice, like, really good grudge match. I can't wait to see what the ladies are on camera. If they'll be kind of going at each other. Maybe we'll get lucky and get like a little bit of Rashad Evans Rampage action. The last time I remember seeing the heavyweights on there with Kimbo and Roy Nelson and all those guys. So let's see if we get some fireworks this season and give us a reason to watch. I really honestly didn't barely watch any of the T-City versus Volkanovski. So, I mean, I know there was like some stuff going on with Brian always being late and stuff like that, but it just didn't really interest me because I don't think Brian was really trying to make fireworks. I think he was just kind of going about his business. And Volkanovski was trying to poke him, but Brian was just like, California dude, man, whatever, bro. Like pretty much. All right, that said, Brandon, we've got to the point of the show pretty quickly where the lead dog gets to continue being the lead dog because no matter what you do this week, you can't catch me because I'm running away with the show. So far, your boy now 6-1-2. The 2 doesn't really count. I'm just keeping track this year of the fights that we have canceled. Almost had a fight canceled last week, so I had to change it. I would have taken Brendan Allen, so it would have worked out the same. Which also reminds me, how does Sam Alvey still have a job? As much as I love the guy, he's so personable. He's lost like 5 in a row at this point. And then your boy over there, Mr. Everybody Loves Brandon Cuttino, the mechanic, the good guy, the baby face. He's 3-6. He's going 1-2 each of the first 3 weeks. So don't go to Atlantic City with him this weekend. You might not do very well. But that said, let's jump into it. UFC 271, Adesanya versus Whittaker 2. We've been waiting for this rematch now for almost a year and a half. What happens differently in this fight, and who do you got?
Nothing happens different. He's going to get that hand raised. He's going to be and still. That's it. I mean, Robert Whittaker could have changed his game up. Saying on the countdown show that basically what they're doing is just making everything that he does better. He's going to try to change this fight, make it a more MMA fight and everything like that. But to me, but a lot of people are thinking that Izzy isn't progressing as well. So I just think Izzy will just do what he does. And this fight will be over. And like I said, and still.
Quick question before I make my pick. Do you give any credence to the fact that Whittaker said he went into the first fight a little bit too egotistical, too cocky, and that this time he's a little bit more humble and hungry? Does that change anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, not the slightest.
And does it change anything that Izzy's considerably kind of bulked up for this fight?
No.
I mean, obviously the same weight, but he's gotten more muscular.
No, that to me that means knockout power could be coming.
So I'm gonna go the other way. I'm taking Whittaker to get his belt back, but the reasons are different.
Take this out, broski. Take this out.
How's that worked out for you so far?
Don't worry, it's gonna happen after this week.
Go to the bank. Go to the bank on this one.
I just want a good weekend.
3 fights since the Izzy fight. Whittaker. They've all been decisions, but they've all been dominant decisions. He just dominated Till, he dominated Cannonier, and he dominated Gastelum. All 3 fighters had moments against Whittaker, but Whittaker definitely showcased all his abilities. I think it's this time Izzy's coming in way too cocky. He's not giving Whittaker any credit whatsoever. He's calling it to be a short night. But meanwhile, since that fight, he's had a boring fight with Romero, a fight against a drunk Costa. He lost to Blagowicz, and then he came out and did his thing against Vettori. Now, if he comes out and does his thing like he did against Vettori, it's going to be a long night for Whittaker. But I think Whittaker has a couple weapons that most people don't. For one, if he uses his wrestling, which he didn't really use the first time, I think that could give Izzy trouble. And 2, he has that high kick that sneaks up on people that nobody sees coming. He's already felt Izzy's power the first time in quickness, so he knows what to expect. I think Whittaker's going to take this one, and I think it does set up possibly a trilogy in this one as well, because they got to run it back. But Adesanya's been kind of like just chopping his, he's been dealing with the whole thing in New Zealand, possibly moving to America. He's been dealing with, people calling him out. Like, we just talked about last week, Ali Abdulaziz trying to plant the seeds of discourse between him and Usman. He seems to be invested in everybody else's problems. He never seems to leave things alone. And now he's been the champ for a while. The pressure's on him. It's not on Whittaker. Man. So I think Whittaker's going to take that one. That's my pick. Take it to the bank. Go make yourself some money in Atlantic City, Vegas, wherever you want to do sportsbook these days.
Oh, yeah. Don't listen to Mike. You want to lose some money, listen to Mike. You will lose some money on that fight, bro. I'm sorry, man. Everything you
said. Check the show notes, people. 6-1. 6-1 this year.
Yeah,
6-1.
I'm telling you, just wait after this weekend. Just wait after this weekend, bro.
Who's that guy that picked Cyril Gane?
Hey, why not? Why not? Yo, Cyril
Gane. Who's that guy that picked Brandon Moreno?
Hey, Moreno won last fight. It was a close fight. God, man, you act like you act like there was some easy dubs over here. They could have went either way.
Don't matter if it could go either way. It went my way.
Oh my goodness.
Going to Atlantic City, going to make some bets.
All of that Izzy's winning this weekend.
All right, co-main event. Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, Bam Bam versus Lewis. Going to be a slugfest. Going to be a fun fight to watch for fans. Who you got in that one and why?
I'm going to go with the Black Beast. I'm going to go with Derek Lewis. I know the last time he was in Houston, it didn't go his way. Hence why I think he wants to really put it on a show for his peoples this time around. So, like I said, man, we got 2 heavyweights, 2 dudes that like to slug. You never know. It's a coin flip, but I'm gonna go with the Black Beast. And we'll go with that.
Man, I've been flip-flopping on this one all week long. I keep wanting to pick both guys for different reasons. Obviously, Tai Tuivasa, younger, faster. Derek has that power, just one punch puts you out. But so does Tai Tuivasa. I've never seen somebody put out Lewis. I mean, Gane did it, but it was an accumulation through a couple rounds of just peppering him, taking his leg out, and then eventually the head falls. I don't know if Ty has the power to drop Lewis with one shot. I just don't know that. I know he's done it to everybody else. Just don't know that he has it with Derek Lewis. That said, they're coming in this fight a little bit too friendly, and that usually favors Derek Lewis because Derek Lewis is the one that like ha joke with you come fight night. That switch turns on, and I'm gonna put your lights out. So I'm taking Derek Lewis in this one as well. I don't think he really cares about heavyweight title fights anymore. He said he'd have to lose some weight if he ever wanted to get there because he didn't want to lose his cardio or didn't he would need more cardio, and he doesn't want to have to lose weight right now. So he's chilling. He's a big boy. He's going back to eating his Popeyes and having some fun. His words, not mine. Not pulling a Joe Rogan. I'm not trying to get canceled. But I think Derek Lewis is going to take this one, probably knock out in the second round. I think they'll both be kind of scared of each other in the first round, taking it easy, not wanting to take a risk, and in the second round, the hands will fly. I think Derek Lewis probably with an uppercut or overhand turns out the lights on Tai Tuivasa. All right, Brandon. This is the part where we go ahead and pick our fight to watch. Tell me the fight you're watching and tell me who's going to win it.
Man, you know what it is. King of the lady fights over here. Got to go with Casey O'Neill versus Roxanne Modafferi. You know, it's supposed to be Roxanne's retirement fight. I think King Casey will send her packing on her way to a nice retirement.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy fight to pick. I love Roxanne. She's brought a lot to the sport for a number of years, but I think Casey's a beast, and I think she's going to be fighting for a title sooner than later. There's so many other great fights to pick on this. I wanted to pick the Ollenberg fight. I wanted to pick the Bobby Green fight, the Arlovsky fight. But man, I'm gonna stick to the main card. Kyler Phillips versus Rojo's an awesome fight. But I wanted to stick to the main card. Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson. Both guys are knocking at the door for a middleweight title fight. We just heard Sean Strickland like kind of next in line, but even he said if Cannonier wins this, Cannonier's next in line. I'm gonna go a step out of the way of this one. I think Derek Brunson's going to win this fight. And I think Derek Brunson's been on such a hot streak since he's kind of like tightened up his training, gotten more focused again for a late run in his career. I think Derek Brunson's going to win this fight. I think he's going to take Cannonier down at will, something that even Gastelum couldn't really do because Cannonier does have very good takedown defense. But I think Derek Brunson's on a different level with his wrestling. I think he throws his whole body into it. He's not half-ass trying to take you down. He's going to take you down. I think Derek Brunson wins this fight. It might not be pretty. I think he might kind of grind it out on the ground, lay on him kind of Kevin Holland style a little bit. But I think Derek Brunson's going to win this. And I think furthermore, I think it's either going to be Brunson and Strickland next as a title eliminator, or especially if, like I say, Whittaker wins this fight and they have to run back the trilogy, or Derek Brunson gets the next shot. But I think Derek Brunson's going to win this fight. Before we get out of here, any other fights kind of stand out to you on that card to kind of just keep an eye on?
I like the Alex Hernandez fight. You know, he's on the prelims, so it could be a nice fight for him. You know, it's like I said, ever since that Cowboy Cerrone loss, he's kind of been trying to find his way to get that steam back. You know, that he had before that fight. But I think it should be a good night for him.
I'm looking at that Carlos Umberg fight because that kid is uber talented, but he clearly ran out of gas his last fight against Nchukwu, and Nchukwu knocked him out in the second round or third round. But clearly Umberg dumped his tank and then had nothing left. And so what happens against another rising fighter like Charant that could go with him? So that's gonna be a fun fight. And then also Alex Perez, who's a top contender, going against Matt Schnell, who's kind of had a late career renaissance as well. That's going to be a fun fight. The last fight was very weird, right? They've been scheduled to fight for over a year now, or almost a year now. And Alex Perez, first, he was a half pound or something overweight, 126.5. And then Matt Schnell, I guess, was a little dehydrated or whatever, and the medical doctor just canceled it. Even though Matt claimed he was fine. He's like, yeah, I passed all the medicals. Why can't I fight? So that was a big deal on social media last time. They've been scheduled to fight 3 or 4 times at this point. Both the guys have been inactive, kind of waiting for the other. So here we are Saturday night. They're going to finally get it on. I can't wait to see that fight. Do you think Alex is a little bit more skilled of the two? So it'll be fun. And then Bobby Green versus Hak Parsat. I can never say it. Nasrat. I'm just going to say his first name like Brandon does. Bobby Green's been knocking people out lately too, kind of getting his mojo back. So, always love watching The Matrix. So it's going to be a fun night of fights. 15 fights on the card. So that's crazy. We haven't seen that many fights in a while. So even if there are a couple fights that drop off last second, there's still going to be plenty of action this Saturday night. So fun stuff. That is that shorter episode this week. We kind of flew through all the subjects. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know about everything we talked about. Let us know your subjects. Let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know what you think about what we talked about. Leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. Catch every episode. Brandon, anything else you want to talk about this week before we get out of here?
Just want to say your boy's going to go 3-0 this week on the picks, baby. Make sure you're buying the merch. The mechanic over here.
Not
Don't worry about that other guy. Nobody
I'm not laughing at the merch part. I'm laughing at
anyway,
your
all right?
picks. Art of MMA. Make sure you check out FightersFirst.shop. Get all the latest and greatest. We do have the mechanic collection in there. Definitely support your boy. Get all the latest mechanic stuff. And as I was told to let people know, because we do actually listen to feedback, it's very important to us. The zip-up hoodie in his shop is meant to be a lightweight zip-up hoodie. It's meant to throw on after training. It's meant to throw on like going to the gym, springtime, stuff like that. It's not a heavyweight zip-up hoodie. We do have heavyweight hoodies for the mechanic collection and sweatshirts. So those are in there. He's wearing the hoodie right now. So you see it looks dope. We got all the Art of MMA logo stuff. I am looking to put more Art of MMA stuff in the shop soon. Been a little distracted with other stuff because, like I said, just signed Chocolate Thunder Shed with Goodrich, a longtime fighter, a former Bellator fighter. Yep. We're talking to several other fighters. Don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Dropping more and more British Bulldogs merch. Over in the boxing world, New England heavyweight champion Justin Rolfe is getting ready to return in the ring in March. Got a new walkout tee for him that looks crazy. So check out all that stuff, FightersFirst.shop, and leave any feedback because I do listen. I really do listen. It only makes us better. I don't take it to heart. I don't get hurt. I know Brandon tries to make me cry, but I will never let him see it. I only do it behind the scenes. But that's that. The only person who can make me cry is my wife, and that's not you. So don't tell her I said that because then she'll get a big head and actually try to make me cry. Don't laugh. You know what that's like. You ain't going to talk shit to your wife. You know better. Anyway, that's the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. I'm Mike Ginn. This is Art of MMA. We'll see you next week when I go 3-0 and he's crying like a little baby. Until then, make sure you hit like button, hit subscribe button. Go and check us out on social media and leave a comment. We appreciate you watching. This is Art of MMA, and we're out.